Okay. Thank you everyone for joining the Rapido monthly update. Today's update is for the month of July. My name is Megan Weldon and I am Rapido product manager here to deliver the Rapido monthly update. Okay, today's content will follow a familiar format. First, topics of the Rapido community, then highlights of the upcoming Rapido monthly release, acknowledging a few frequently asked questions before we get into any questions that you put forth today via the chat or via the Q&A. Okay, the Rapido community. We've got a few topics to share on this today. The first being a few more libraries have gone live with Rapido in the month of July, so welcome to the growing Rapido community. Libraries from the University of Wisconsin system, UW Parkside, and UW Whitewater. Further growth of the Rapido community, we're all excited to share in the growth by welcoming National Library of Australia to join the Rapido community. Another topic that you may already be familiar with participating in the Rapido community is that the enhancement voting process has begun. There's been a lot of conversation about this topic on the Rapido and Rapido listservs, but just wanted to bring forth a couple highlights there in case you hadn't quite tuned into them yet from the listserv. The enhancements process, you might be familiar with this process as it's been referred to as the NERS process previously, but at large it's the enhancement process. And we are now in the first round of voting. So we've made it to the first round of voting stage of this process. Your community is working diligently through this process, and they've shared some of the following highlights. So the representative from your institution has received an email via Election Buddies or Election Buddy Elections, and if there have been issues with this or your folks have not received this communication, there is a point of contact there for you to connect with, and your community will support you with that. Additionally, a spreadsheet was shared via the listserv regarding the votable enhancements. So check out that spreadsheet to inform your votes. Further, contact information was provided. Thank you, Sarah Shank at Ithaca. She is the contact where you can go to if you are or experiencing any issues with access to viewing that spreadsheet or viewing the available topics for voting. The community seems to be using some new platforms this year, but there are, as you can see on this slide, 2 different points of contact for you to go to in regards to working through those new platforms. And just as an FYI, voting in this process is open to any Aluna or Igloo member institution with a Rapido or Rapid ILL contract. There were further details provided via the listserv, so if you need more information, there are points of contacts there, or check out what has been sent via your Rapido working group and your Rapid ILL working group on the listserv. An upcoming webinar by the Rapido community for the resource sharing community is a webinar by Peggy from Florida Gulf Coast University and Jennifer at East Tennessee State University. They're going to speak to their lessons learned and experiences since their migration journey to Rapido, with highlighting topics of building strong networks for library sharing materials, taking a user-centric approach to deliver materials faster, and centralizing the management of ILL requests at their institutions. So this webinar will be taking place August 14th, 1:30 Eastern. I will share the registration link with you at the end of our session today for your interest, as well as for you to share with other colleagues who may have interest in hearing about the resource sharing experience of these 2 libraries who are using Rapido. Another topic for the community is the upcoming Igloo conference. I saw that the conference committee has put forth the program, and upon reviewing the program, there are quite a few sessions with a focus on Rapido. So if you're going to the Igloo conference, there are some sessions related to Rapido that may be of interest to you. Additionally, we'll have folks from our team at the Igloo conference, so please reach out if you'll be there and you want to connect. Additional conferences that you'll see us at are the Northwest ILL conference and the SIRS conference. So if you plan to attend any of those 3 upcoming conferences, let's connect so that we can work on scheduling something so that we can get together in person. Okay, our next topic are developments, and this will be covering the main highlights from the upcoming August release. We have quite a few developments this month related to our theme of optimize, the first few being analytics. So as libraries, you may be engaging with analytics to understand how you're using your systems and how you can optimize the use of your systems. We have a few new data visualizations available to you via the Rapido shared folder within your analytics. One of these visualizations is My Fulfillment per Pod, and they are all on that tab called My Pods as a Borrower. So My Fulfillment per Pod is a pie chart visual. This is not data from a real environment, so your numbers will look a bit different. However, it shows requests filled by your individual pod partners, a numerical value, or sorry, not your individual pod partners, but your individual pods themselves. It will give you a numerical value and a percentage value as how many of your borrowing requests are filled by your partnered pods. Another visual that will become available to you in my pods as a borrower is a new bar chart called Requests Filled by Partner. This is a fun visual that shows a numerical value as well as a percentage value as far as your number of requests filled by the first partner they go to, the second partner, third partner, fourth partner, and beyond. So you can see how many of your requests are filled by that first partner, they are routed to via Rapido, etc. And you have that as a percentage as well. Just a note on this graph, it does show data up to the last complete month. So if we look at this come the August release, then this visual will include data through July, and the August data will become available once we roll into September. Another visual that has been added to this data visualization is a bar chart regarding turnaround time. So this shows you your turnaround time as a borrower per your different pods that you participate in. So this is a good visual for you to see what that performance looks like across your different pods. Another analytics value that you will see with the August release is a new measure. This is a number of filled requests measure. We already had this measure in the borrowing request details. However, now you have this measure in the lending request details. You can use it in any reports that you are making independently, add it to reports, existing Rapido out-of-the-box reports that you're modifying to tailor for your specific use. But this is a new value that's available to you in analytics, so you aren't having to do equations on your own. You can add it and use it as your interests need. Okay, another development in the August release related to our theme of optimize is more specific to workflows. So moving away from analytics, in your borrowing workflows, when you are creating a request on behalf of an end user, or maybe you're creating a request as a part of your testing or practicing workflows at your institution, maybe you create that request from a search, or you create that request from a global from the global index view. Either way, previously you needed to save that request and then go back in and edit it to have some of the metadata fields available to you. This was particularly apparent to users when they were creating requests for book chapters. So now if you are manually creating a request for a book chapter for testing or on behalf of an end user you will be able to access all of those metadata fields without having to save the request and then go back into the edit view. Okay, moving to topics of our Connect theme, we have one major development to share on this front. And that development came out of that enhancement cycle that I was referencing earlier. So this cycle has, or this process has been referred to as the NERS process. Overall, though, it is the enhancement process. NERS was the system that the community used. And the development that came from that was labeled add conditional to Rapid ILL, and it was numbered 8558 for folks who have been following that process. As we worked with the community to discern what was needed by this, the reality was the functionality that folks were looking for was the ability to contact all partner types from the request, whether that was to inquire with your Rapid ILL partner about more data that was needed, or to conditional a fulfillment of that request, or generally just being able to contact partner types that the general message functionality was not available for. So this functionality that we have built with this enhancement process is now available to you with the August release. So let's see what that looks like. So you'll see this functionality in the form of a new action on your requests. Both your borrowing and lending requests, you can send the email to the partner. You'll see that a screen pops up with the from field that is automatically populated, and the body field that is automatically populated with details regarding the request. You can further edit and add information to the body, and you can add your own subject depending on what it is you are contacting your partner about. Additionally, you'll see this functionality in a form of the new action called Start Communication that is nested within a new tab on your request. So previously you did not have this communications tab, but it is now here as a part of this overall functionality. And this tab shows you the history of these communications, and you can start a new communication from this tab, and it opens that same letter with that same kind of format that you're familiar with. This letter is a new letter in your environment. It is a resource sharing conversation letter. So just like other letters, you can configure it, customize it, etc., so that it matches your sort of perhaps institutional branding or logos or language. You can customize that letter, and then the body of the letter will populate as staff populate that via that start communication or send email to partner action. If the communication is used between Rapido libraries, the Rapido library will see the communication icon on their request. So in that top screenshot, we see the communications icon on the request. It sits where you're familiar with seeing the notes icon if there is a note associated with the request. You can then access the communication that was sent to you via the communications tab and view what has been sent by your partners. Additionally, it will be in the inbox that it was sent to as an email. From that communications tab entry, you can have the options to edit, reply, add a response, or close. I have another slide here that kind of elaborates on what those different actions mean. A little bit more insight regarding these actions of sending the email to the partner. The from address is not an editable field. It is derived from the resource sharing library's preferred email shipping address. So what is configured as your preferred email shipping address type, or from the owning library's preferred email address if the resource sharing library's preferred email address is not configured. So those are the two kind of options that will be populating the from address field. The to email address field is editable. Acceptable email addresses are the partner's preferred email shipping address or from your partner record of that partner. The message itself, as previously stated, auto-populates with request info. However, staff can enter the email subject and they can edit the body of the message and include further information or inquiry. If a Rapido library receives this communication, there were those actions available to you on that communication within the Communications tab. You can edit to to view the full correspondence. You can reply to a communication to send further correspondence. Each reply increases the counter in the communication section there and is added to that as an entry in that Communications tab. If you choose to add a response, you can do this to paste a partner's response to your correspondence. So perhaps you've used this send email to partner to a non-Rapido partner. Maybe it's a Rapid ILL partner, maybe it's another partner, and it has generated an email out to them. They then are going to be responding to that email. And if you want the history of the email they sent you in the request communication tab, you can grab the text of that email and paste it in there so that you have that visibility for the future, or you have that visibility perhaps for staff who might not be checking that email account, or otherwise just promote that visibility on that request communication tab. If you choose to close the correspondence, note it doesn't delete the correspondence in any way, but it removes that communications indicator that from the request. So just like you can dismiss your active notes, you can close your correspondence so that the icon is no longer on your request, noting an attention is needed. Okay, a few frequently asked questions, and then we'll spend a little bit of time looking at any questions you've shared with us today. So a question that we've received, is there a setting that supports automatic partner creation? Yes, so within your configurations, under resource sharing, other settings, you'll see this table called customer parameters. Within that table, there's a parameter labeled Rapido automatically create partner. It is set to false by default, but you can customize it to true. Doing this supports automatic creation of partners. If you are on the lending end and you get a request from other partners, it will automatically create the partner record, thus easing further transactions between your libraries. This can be done if the partner is sending the request via ISO 18626 or NCIP peer-to-peer. So it is limited based on the partner types, but it can support some of the automation in furthering your partnerships. So if you set this to true, that can ease your connections in the future as you work to grow your networks. Another question that we hear is, can we have a new pod for XYZ purpose? Maybe we need a new pod to support a specific region in our country. Maybe we need a specific pod to support a state or other geographical location. Maybe we need a pod that is specific to my consortia because now we have a few of our consortia members using Rapido, or we've built a new consortia. Another reason is perhaps the loan period at large for my country, or the terms for the pod for my country are great, but I can't meet them for some of my items. Maybe they're located at a further off storage site. Maybe they are high demand. I need to be able to lend them for a shorter amount of time than is the standard. If that would be something that would support the community at large, yes, we can create new pods. To initiate the creation of new pods, please just contact me and we will work on that together. Our team can create the new pod for supporting your connections with the community. Note that you'll need to name the pod and you'll need to specify the criteria for joining that pod. if it isn't obvious. So if it isn't like a state or specific region that is obvious for who would need to join, let us know what library is, what the criteria is for participating in that pod. You'll also need to define the various fields and terms of the pod, such as delivery time, loan period, expiry time, etc. Those pieces are chosen by the community for the community, so you'll need to let us know what those are if new pods are created to support your community connections. Another question I get is I've been using Rapido for a little while now, and maybe I haven't been staying up to date on all of the new things. What might be helpful for me to review to stay connected and informed with what's going on? So there are monthly release notes available. You can see these for 2023 and 2024. If you want to do a play-by-play of each month, you can select into those. Additionally, if you just kind of want to see the main releases, you can go to the all page as opposed to the month by month. On the all page, you won't see the kind of the fixed or resolved issues there. You just get the main release highlights. Additionally, if you're here in these webinars, you've already registered for those. However, we have the additional webinars coming up, like the one by Peggy and Jennifer, that will speak to how they're using Rapido and their experiences today. And registering for that will give you insights to how other folks are using Rapido that may inform decisions you make with using Rapido at your institutions. Additionally, I'm happy to meet with you one-on-one to support Rapido at your library and support your success in your overall resource sharing goals. So let's schedule a check-in if it would be helpful for your information needs or your success with Rapido. I acknowledged a few different links in our conversation today, so I'll make sure to share those in the chat so that you can see the various enhancements list, the items available for voting. If you're engaging in the Igloo conference, if you're not yet participating in the Rapido listserv, a link for registering for the webinar, and the release notes for this month. So let me share my screen that shows you my email, because I really do welcome follow-up conversations from these webinars. So if you have questions, go ahead and get them into the chat now. Otherwise, if things come up at a later date, let's connect via email. Happy to have those conversations via email or set up a call to get your questions answered. So I'm going to stop sharing so that I can get some things into the chat a little bit easier for you. Okay, I've plugged into the chat the various links that I shared today. Let me look through to see if there are questions or conversation from you. All right, navigating through the chat questions to be able to answer them. One of them being, where does the from address populate in the email to partner letter? The from address, again, it's not an editable field. However, it's derived from the resource sharing library's preferred email address configuration or from the owning library's preferred email address if the resource sharing library's preferred email shipping address is not configured. Hopefully that question is answered for you. Additionally, I see a question regarding the to address. Do we need to populate it? Do we need to go to the record, look it up? The to address is editable. The acceptable addresses are the partner's preferred email shipping address or the Rapido contacts record. As far as if it auto populates, Let me get back to you on that one. I see who's sent that, so I can follow up with an email. And I see another question regarding this communication to partners as a means for supporting the Rapid ILL um, kind of conditional functionality. This is an action from the Rapido request itself. So this is not something that you need to go out to Rapid ILL web pages or anything like that. You can access this functionality via the send email to partner action on a request or from the start communications action on the communications tab. I see another question regarding setting up pods. So the pods that we're speaking about for creating these new pods are Rapido pods. If you are wanting to use pods as hybrid pods to connect with libraries who are using Alma resource sharing functionalities while you're using Rapido functionalities, we can create those kind of regional pods to support that as well. However, I see questions regarding the peer-to-peer setup. If you are a Rapido library, there is not peer-to-peer configurations to engage with. You simply join the pod and attach participating items. But the partners on the other end will need to do peer-to-peer setup. And there's peer-to-peer Alma documentation for supporting that. Hopefully that answers your question. And if there's more on that topic, let's connect. And sorry, I see questions in a couple different places, so bouncing around to see what those outstanding questions are. Okay, I think that we've addressed the different questions that I see in the chat. If I've missed your question today, please reach out and we can connect further. Okay. Yes, if there are further questions, please reach out. I will provide my email one more time to support further conversations. Okay, thank you all for your time today.